Hey everyone, welcome to the Huddle brought to you by Play USA. My name's Nicole here with
Ian St. Clair.
no bad names for you this week. I can't blame you for the Steelers losing. I mean, they were just atrocious on their own, so I won't give you a bad introduction this week. Just let you introduce yourself.
Well, and the fact that both of our prop bets dropped in the same game. So, yeah, we're not. The only thing that I have going for me is the Broncos still are unbeaten.
There you go. And look at the hat. This is like you get the bucket hat, very Gen Z of you. The bucket hats are in.
And especially since it's still weather here in Denver where you could get away with a bucket hat before it starts getting cold because you're not going to wear a bucket hat when it's 10 degrees outside. So I had to put this on before the weather starts getting to the point where it's too cold for a bucket hat.
I forget you get snow. I forget that there are people in the country that have to deal with snow. I mean, it was chilly yesterday for me. And with that being said, I think it was like 75 when I was walking my dog last night. So,
Right now it's around 50 degrees.
whew, yeah, that's too cold for me. I'm wearing the puffer vest. I'm wearing like the puffer jacket, walking my dog if it's at 50 degrees here. But we still have a few more. I would say Halloween is like when Vegas starts to like you have to start considering wearing a jacket. Like you have to really make a smart decision on what your Halloween costume is going to be. Like, can you wear like a tank top version or do you need to go long sleeves? That's when, you really have to make some hard decisions.
I think it's hilarious that we're talking about wearing a jacket when it's 70 degrees outside.
I'm not very acclimated. I grew up in Vegas and then I went to Southern California for college. So I've never had to deal with inclement weather.
So you're a desert sun baby.
I am, yeah. So as soon as it gets below 80, it's time to put the long sleeves on.
That's hilarious to me.
All right, without further ado, since we are not anchormen, we are not newscasters reporting on the weather, it's time to get into some football. And we started off with the worst of the week. And I know you guys are probably thinking, like, is this a USC Steelers Broncos podcast? And it's like, no, it's not. It just happens to be that my team or your team fit these criteria so well going week in and week. I wish they wouldn't. I mean I wish that I didn't have to talk about my team for worst of the week, but USC loses to Oregon State at home for the first time in 61 years, which is just absolutely atrocious. It was, they stayed, I would say that just like trying to make excuses at this point. The Trojans really stayed in it the first half, and then it truly looked like whatever was said to them in the like during halftime. I mean, they looked like they absolutely gave up in the second half. I don't know what was going on in that game.
All I can say is now they're on the precipice of potentially losing another record when they travel to Boulder and Folsom Field to take on the putrid University of Colorado Buffaloes. In the history of this rivalry, CU has never beaten USC. 0-14 dates back to 1927. So maybe we could get.
There's no time like the present, really. USC, I don't know. I mean, apparently you can. I guess they're technically not at rock bottom since they still have the opportunity to lose to the Buffaloes. So we'll see if they can hit it. I was really hoping that under Dante Williams, we were going to sort of get like that Ed Orgeron resurgence after Lane, I got fired on the bus Kiffin. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought we were going to get this interim coach that kind of came in and united the team and united the fan base. I mean, the students when I were there were really the students when I was there were really behind Orgeron. He did something magical at that school, I felt, after Kiffin left. And when I thought, after they fired Clay Helton and they won their next game, I was like, okay, we're going to get a similar trajectory here. And then it absolutely fell apart against Oregon State. And I just have really no hope for this team going forward. And they better get a high profile name or this is going to be bad.
Lane Kiffin.
Yeah. Lane Kiffin was so bad, and this is like probably, I don't know, this is probably not politically correct, but the t-shirts, the hottest selling item were these t-shirts when I was at USC that said the only trophy Lane will ever win is his wife. That was the best selling t-shirt in the student section. And I like Lane Kiffin's wife, I'm sure is like a wonderful lady. And like, I didn't have one of those shirts, so don't blame me. I'm just saying, if you were at a USC game during the Lane Kiffin era, I mean, that was how much confidence the students had in him. But hey, I mean, he went to Alabama. He really redid his reputation. Maybe, I don't think he's in the running, but you never know. Never say never.
Well, the way he has Ole Miss running right now, and potentially, why not? I mean,
He was treated so well at USC. I just don't know why. He's probably like never taking a team bus ever again if he comes back. He's like not happening twice.
for
Yeah, it
me,
was terrible. The defense couldn't stop the run. Beavers rushed for 322 yards, averaged 6.3 yards per carry, and allowed no sacks. So it was just an absolutely one-sided game.
the worst of the week was, I'll just say it, my prop bet. I mean, it missed by 2 yards. I mean, really? Austin Eckler, 56.5 at DraftKings, and misses it by 2 yards. He finished with 55 yards rushing.
I mean, I have to say, I think we've had some pretty bad beats for our props. Our reads were there. I think, it's like, I can admit, okay, for last week, my Kelsey bet, it's hard to make your bet when the defender gets hurt. And like the defender that you've totally picked your bet around absolutely gets hurt and is taken out of the game. And I get that, but the Claypool bet, 9 targets, like I felt like 3.5, like the read was there. I feel like your read was there. The gambling gods really haven't been on our side lately, but maybe this week we can turn it around.
Well, at least I have a win. So I'm 1-2.
That is true. I am still bageled for the season, so you can hold that over my head, but don't get too cocky, okay? There's still there's plenty of season left.
There is, and a lot of time for me to catch up or drop down.
I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll see. Let's like, once we get halfway through the season, we'll kind of see where we're at. Then you can really do some trash talking. All right, so Ian, you have a pretty funny take it to Twitter that I think goes against my team.
It does, but the saving grace of it is, and what makes it even better, is Stephen A. Smith is a lifelong Steelers fan, so over 40 years. And the thing about this video is it's not just what he says, it's the music in the background, like funeral music. It almost sounds like music that you would hear on General Hospital, which is fitting because Stephen A. Smith says that he watched or watches General Hospital,
Big
which
General
is still
Hospital fan, he says.
on ABC, which is one of the few remaining soap operas still around. So it's just the video it's awesome. We're not going to show the whole clip, obviously, because it's over 2 minutes, but it's definitely worth finding on Twitter. But here's a glimpse of what Stephen A. Smith said about the Steelers.
Yeah, take a look.
Steelers are awful. They're awful. The defense, I'm not going to blame them because TJ Watt is out. Highsmith was out. I don't know why everybody got a groin injury, but that's a subject for another day. But their offense is awful. It's the music.
No, it's the groin injury.
I actually asked for this music, Ryan. I have never seen the Steelers' offense look this bad.
And the best part of this video is it's like the funeral music is so great, but the fact that nobody on set besides Stephen A. Smith knew that he requested this funeral music. So they're seeing it like in real time and just dying. And I got to give him props because he keeps his composure the entire time while the rest of the people on his team are just absolutely losing it over that and the groin injuries.
And I thought that was that little throw in, which got Ryan Clark and then Michael Irvin both hysterically laughing. Like he just throws in like, oh, and everyone seems to have a groin injury. And to tie in some soap opera references to this, I will admit that I watched soap operas as a kid, and my grandma absolutely loved Days of Our Lives. So while Stefano DiMera wasn't on General Hospital, I think the only way the Steelers are going to be able to get back to where you and Stephen A. Smith and the rest of Steeler Nation wants them to be is if the Phoenix can somehow get into Ben Roethlisberger and he can either jump in a DeLorean or morph back to what he was 5 or 10 years ago.
Yeah, I think we do need a time machine. And, I've said it before. I think, these quarterbacks look at Tom Brady and think, oh, we can do it. He's old and he's playing. Again, like we've said before, Tom Brady like only drinks water and essentially, I think I said, does photosynthesis to get his nutrients. I mean, the guy doesn't eat anything. He's probably never had a piece of pizza in his life. And, I can't say Ben is on the same trajectory of diet when it comes to, Tom Brady. And also, Tom Brady's had a great offensive line that essentially is like prevented him from getting sacked over 5 times in his entire career. So I think, yeah, I'm with Stephen A. Smith here. Ben's got to go. Obviously, the Steelers have done absolutely nothing to find a backup for him or even like draft a suitable backup. Mason Rudolph is not a suitable option, in my opinion. I don't think in any Steeler fan's opinion. So I don't really know what's going to go on with the Steelers going forward, but it hasn't been fun watching them week to week. So but I have to prove myself as a true fan and continue to show up. But man, it has been brutal. And I haven't had to deal with this basically my entire lifetime as a Steelers fan. So this is new for me.
Well, I've dealt with it for 5 years now for the Broncos, so I think you can deal with one season. And maybe Dwayne Haskins could be the saving grace.
Our saving grace. Yeah, I don't see it happening, but hey, we'll never say never. Maybe they can pull off some miracle. Maybe they can get in the time machine. Some General Hospital magic can come to the Steelers offense. But all right, that is your take it to Twitter. Of course, dogging on my team. For my take it to Twitter, we've got the Ravens game. They're going up against the Lions, and it all comes down to Justin Tucker hitting a 66-yard field goal, which he does barely. He barely does. He hits the bottom of the crossbar and it bounces in, sets an NFL record. That's not the crazy part. What the crazy part is that on Twitter, the previous play is under scrutiny from Twitter fans because they feel like there was a delay of game on the previous play to the kick. And you will see somebody posted their television feed where it does look like prior to that there would have been a delay of game. But as everyone has kind of said, sometimes the TV clock can be a little bit different than the game clock on the field. And if they were to have gotten that delay of game on the previous play, likely Justin Tucker wouldn't have made the 66-yard field goal because he just barely made it. So if they would have been pushed back 5 yards, wouldn't have been great for him. So we have the two videos here. One of the Justin Tucker field goal. Go ahead and take a look.
On its way. It bounces off the crossbar, and it's good!
Oh my goodness!
Oh my goodness!
Oh my! Did that just happen, Greg?
What a kick!
And then we have the video of the play before where the fans on TV are seeing the delay of game. So take a look at that one as well.
Something quick. Play clock down to 4. You don't have time to spike 2, 1.
And so here's my take on it. Normally, I do agree with Twitter. Normally, I am on Twitter's side. And while it does absolutely suck to be, if you were a Lions fan watching that game and thinking the Ravens got a delay of game before that big kick, before that next play, my take is that if there were a true delay of game on the field, you would have seen that Lions bench going absolutely crazy, and they made no motion. So I'm going to disagree with Twitter here, and I'm going to say that the Ravens, while it sucked that those fans saw on TV what they thought was a delay game, that they didn't actually, the refs might have not blown a call on this one, which is surprising. And I think they won that game fair and square.
I will say maybe Dan Campbell and the Lions were so blown away by the fact that they weren't getting blown out that they were just like, you know what? The fact that we're even in this game, we're not going to throw a fit over a delay of game call. I will say, based on that second video of the pass from Lamar Jackson, if you see the clock, it literally looks like it was at least 3 to 5 seconds after the play clock is at 0.
That was that's the crazy thing. If you're a fan, you're like, oh my God, how are you not calling this? Exactly. It was about 5 seconds. So I mean, it's crazy to me. And if the delay is seriously that big between the game clock on the field and the game clock on TV, that has to be fixed, because I can understand a second, but like you said, I mean, we're almost at like 5 seconds on that video.
And generally, refs like to give the benefit of the doubt on delay of game calls. Like, they will give you a full second just to avoid the 5-yard penalty. But that's beyond generous if it really is.
So maybe
5
Ian's agreeing
seconds
with Twitter.
I can't get over the fact that
tell.
I can't get over the fact that Justin Tucker kicked the field goal that is one of the worst moments in Broncos history. So I am always going to side with anything that is anti-Justin Tucker and Baltimore Ravens.
They're playing your team next week, right?
Yeah, they are. And I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the first half, Justin Tucker goes to John Harbaugh and says, let me kick a 70-yard field goal since we're at altitude.
And if I'm Harbaugh, I'm go for it. What do you have to lose at this
absolutely.
point? I trust that guy with anything.
Yeah. And it would be interesting if there was a prop market. And I think DraftKings or whoever needs to get this up. Does Justin Tucker sing opera while he's kicking field goals?
I want to know what that guy's listening to in the locker room before field goals. I need it. I need it in my life. I need that juju for my prop lock and drop it picks. I need what he's got going on. But that's where we stand on the Justin Tucker Ravens delay of game. You also have a picture that you want to throw up where you think it might have been an iffy call as well.
I don't think there's any if about it.
No ifs about it. This was a straight call that they missed.
And the thing that makes the photo even better is the screenshot, or whoever got this has the back judge literally in the shot staring at the play. I mean, just look at the photo.
We have it here for you. Take a look.
And so to put this photo into context now, this is an overtime. So the Dolphins are driving down. This was in the end zone. So pass interference on the defense, since it happens in the end zone, puts the ball at the 1 yard line. The Dolphins would have the ball at the 1 yard line for first and goal. Now, if you look at the outcome of the game, the Raiders go on to win. It's their second win in overtime at the giant Roomba in the desert.
Yes.
To help them improve to 3-0. But come on. I mean, Raiders
it is
fans
hard to catch a ball with a guy taped to your back.
Exactly. I mean, that is textbook pass interference. And you have the back judge literally looking at it. That's like literally one of the things he is supposed to flag. Like, that's the only reason you have a back judge.
Yeah, he had a clear view. Like, there was no impaired view or like another player in the way. Like, we can see you, which means you can see it.
And I'm going to make the joke. I mean, you see the colors of the Raiders, black and silver, black and white. I mean, it's pretty close. Maybe he thought, he is in black and silver. Maybe it's close enough that we're on the same team.
Yeah, teal and white really it's so hard to tell the difference between black and white and like teal, bright blue, orange, and white. So, it was just hard for him to tell. These uniforms look the same.
And I mean, everyone knows I hate the Raiders, but come on. I mean, hey, at least they're taking away taunting penalties in the NFL.
Very true. Which we've actually seen now that they're taking away. I don't know. We can't get on board with the refs this year, but
no.
This one, we fully agree with you, Twitter. We fully agree that should have been a pass interference call. Ravens, we're still on the fence about, but we agree with you here. But all right, that about wraps it up for Take It to Twitter. We're going to hop in our boat and take it on over to Fantasy Island. And Ian, I'm going to let you start off with this one.
So one thing that we've noticed throughout the start of the first 3 weeks of the NFL season is running backs, not surprisingly, are getting injured. And that brings up an interesting point and a strategy that you can have for fantasy football. And it can tie in for props as well for the guys who end up replacing running backs like Christian McCaffrey, who went down last Thursday against the Houston Texans in that game. And as I tweeted out as with a GIF, every single fantasy or prop bet player on Christian McCaffrey after the news that he went out with a hamstring injury. So one thing you can do is stack running backs. And if the guys are available in your league, you obviously go after them. So Chuba Hubbard with the Carolina Panthers is going to be the guy who's going to replace Christian McCaffrey or try to replace Christian McCaffrey. There's Dalvin Cook and Mattinson with the Vikings. So whether it's a draft strategy or something that you utilize throughout the season, stacking running backs is one way to go about trying to limit the damage that an injury to a running back will do to your fantasy team.
And Ian, you actually had somebody come on to playcolorado.com to kind of talk about this strategy, right? So while it might be a little bit too late to really, do it this season, like as effectively as your, analytics or your expert has said, take this season as like a cautionary tale and see if you can do this for next season. So I think, do you have the title of the story pulled up so that people can go to playcolorado.com?
Stacking running backs could help you bust through in fantasy football. And even if they're not injury, like there's not an injury to the number one running back, if you look at the Browns, Kevin Stefanski and that offense utilized both Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Potentially, haven't really seen a lot of Darrell Williams with the Chiefs, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Darrell Williams with the Chiefs. There's Austin Eckler and Justin Jackson with the Chargers. And then in Denver, you have Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams. And then based on the Cardinals, you have James Conner and Chase Edmonds. So there's some potential out there to stack your running backs and try to limit the damage if one of them does get hurt.
Yeah, so go ahead and check out that article. I think the guy that wrote it definitely knows a lot more than I do about fantasy
and
football.
Me.
And you, exactly. So
and he shares my name. He used to work write for MileHighReport.com, and I always joke that whenever I mention Ian, I feel like I'm talking in third person. So Ian Henson is the guy who wrote it. He's very knowledgeable about fantasy football. So I would listen to him. And if I had running backs like that, I probably would listen to him.
Please do not talk about yourself in third person, or I don't know what we're gonna have to find a different person to come on to this.
Yeah, it's bad enough with the hat. Then I start talking in third person.
Ian thinks this week on Prop Block and Drop It. All right, I like that. Like I said, we have people come on that know a lot more than us and try to help inform us about what to do about fantasy. So head over to playcolorado.com to check out that article. Let's go ahead and take it back to the mainland. It is time for a promo party. I'll go ahead and kick this one off. So we've seen a new offer out for WinBet. As of now, this promotion does not have an end date. So it's going to be really good for new users. You're not really on a time clock right now. WinBet hasn't put an expiration date on it, but essentially it is bet $1 to win 100 on football. So what you have to do is sign up for WinBet, make your first deposit of at least $20, and then place a $1 wager on either the money line, spread, or totals market of an NFL or college football game. Once you do that, you will get a $100 free bet as long as either team in that game scores a touchdown. So doesn't matter what team you took on the money line, as long as either team in the game scores a touchdown, you're going to get that $100 free bet. And like I said, good deal for new users for WinBet because there's no expiration date on it right now. So you can kind of take it whenever you want.
One thing you could do is keep an eye on the promos. And if there is a deadline for one of them, like the last 2 weeks with BetMGM, use the ones that have the expiration date and then keep that one in your back pocket.
Exactly. And like we always say, on most of the videos that we do on this network, we're not advocating for betting more volume when we are, pushing these offers. What we're saying is there's really no disadvantage to you to shopping around at all of these different sports books. So we're not saying that you have to, because WinBet has an offer out this week, you have to place a bet at MGM that you were already thinking of doing, and also a bet at WinBet. What we're saying is if you haven't signed up for WinBet yet, maybe next week you see what they have available on that app and put your bets and your bankroll there to go ahead and take advantage of that new user offer.
100%.
And you have one this week as well too?
I do. It's over at DraftKings. They do various profit boosts, which are fun because they increase your ability to improve your winnings. But what they're doing is they have Brady specials, and the game probably isn't going to be close, especially considering Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are coming off a disappointing loss to Matt Stafford and the Los Angeles Rams. But in the first trip back to Foxborough and Gillette Stadium for Tom Brady, DraftKings has some Brady specials. And what you can do is they have 3 profit boosts that you can opt into. And what you can do is use one of those on some of these Brady specials. And I think they're really fun, to be honest with you. Johnny Avello was on Vision earlier this week talking about how, since DraftKings is from Boston and they're all huge Patriots fans, they came up with these and they're a lot of fun. So number of completed passes for Tom Brady to get over 67.5 passing yards. So Brady is going to pass Drew Brees for the all-time NFL yardage record. So they have it at over 5.5 for number of passes. Will Rob Gronkowski, who's also making his first trip back to Foxborough and Gillette Stadium, will Rob Gronkowski have over 162.5 receiving yards, his career high at Foxborough? Yes, plus 1,400. Tom Brady over 443.5 passing yards, his career high at Foxborough, plus 1,200. Tom Brady over 6.5 passing touchdowns, his career high at Foxborough. Yes, plus 1,800. Tom Brady over 67.5 passing yards in the first quarter. This is probably the worst market of them because it's obviously going to happen. Yes, minus 200. And then I think the fun one, the one that I think we can all probably get on board with, is who will catch the record-breaking pass from Tom Brady. And I think the favorite is going to be Rob Gronkowski. What was interesting about it is he opened at plus 400, and they have since adjusted the odds and moved it down to plus 300. But as I told you, if you take one of your profit boosts of 25% and put it on Gronk, it jumps up to plus 375. So that's something that you could do. And my wife, Angela, we talk about her with fantasy football. Her big concern is, what if he throws it to Antonio Brown and he runs for 70 yards?
I know. I feel like I get the concern, but I feel like it's got to be Gronk, right? Like It's got to be Gronk. And I feel like at Brady's, we were kind of talking about this just a teeny bit before we started the video, but I think, if you're Tom Brady and you've already picked going into the game, like who you want it to be, he'll just throw to Gronk 4 times, in my opinion. Like he'll just make it happen. It's that skill level. He'll make it happen. But I don't know. Maybe it is Antonio Brown. I think it's going to be Gronk.
Yeah. Well, even Johnny Avello said it was going to be Gronk.
Yeah.
So what I think is going to happen is since Tom Brady is so meticulous and he knows everything, I guarantee you he's talked with Bruce Arians and with Byron Leftwich, his offensive coordinator, about the first, like the script for the first 15 plays or even 10. And it's like,
happen.
Gronk.
Yeah.
Gronk. He's going to just throw it to Gronk.
He's like, you're either going to say Gronk in my headset or I'm going to also throw to Gronk. So if you're not saying it, I'm just going to do my own thing and throw it to Gronk. So just make sure you're saying Gronk in my headset when you're calling the plays.
So that it's going to make a game that I don't think is going to be close, especially how ticked off Tom Brady in Tampa is to lose to the Rams,
Yep.
but also because I guarantee you Tom Brady has heard the talk. Is it Bill Belichick or is it Tom Brady?
Also, I have to mention that, yes, of course, and it's Tom Brady. Let's just like throw it out there. It's Tom Brady. But if you are in Connecticut, which I know there are a lot of Patriots fans in Connecticut, you now have legalized sports betting in your state. You can bet on this game. It's not going to be online sports betting. You will have to go to one of the two tribal casinos. FanDuel and DraftKings are now up and running as of today at the tribal sportsbooks in Connecticut, but you can place a wager on these games now. And if you want to wait until online sports betting, it's targeted for October 7th. But I know there are a lot of Patriots fans in Connecticut, and I wanted to make sure that you all know that you have legal sports betting now.
And Tom Brady fans.
True. So if you want to, get, I don't know exactly, again, not all of the specialty markets that you will see online at FanDuel and DraftKings will be available at a retail sports book. So I should, kind of put that disclaimer out that they might not have some of these special props. However, if you do want to bet on the game, all the standard markets will be available at those retail sports books. So head on over to those tribal casinos. You have Foxwoods and Mohegan Sun, I believe, are the two that have legal sports betting as of today.
Great plug, by the way.
Yeah. Got to get it out there. Got to let them know. And if you want more information on Connecticut sports betting, go to playct.com and we will be updating you there on all of that. But okay, so is that your official pick, or you just wanted to let us know what the market, some of the specialty markets were, but what are we going with this?
That was my promo. That was my promo pick. That was my way to potentially add some excitement to a game that may not be close, but it's going to be talked about, has been talked about all week. So just a way to build up some interest and excitement that with profit boosts, it adds a little bit more. And then I think the markets are a lot of fun. So just as a promo, I think it's good on DraftKings for doing it. I think it helps to have all those Patriots fans on your staff, as Johnny Avello does.
Yeah.
But I do think it's fun, fun promos. So check them out and see if it's a way to add to the excitement of the Sunday night game.
And like you said, with the profit boost, some of the odds are pretty decent there. So hey, might as well give it a shot, and it's fun. And like you said, it adds like a little bit of a gamification like aspect to sports betting. Like you said, it's a pretty hyped up matchup. So I think people have very strong opinions, like you said, of whether it's Belichick or whether it's Tom Brady. I tend to be in the Tom Brady camp, but some people will put their money where their mouth is. I'm not going to personally bet on it, but we also don't have DraftKings here, so.
No, it's because you have to go to a brick and mortar casino to get the sports book.
Correct. And DraftKings is not available in this market. So maybe if BetMGM gets something out, I'll be able to bet on it. But all right. So
and then you mentioned entertainment. I call it wagertainment. Like it's a fun way to add to the excitement of the game, even if it's not the teams that you're rooting for. Granted, you may have to listen to Chris Collinsworth say, here's a guy about 5 times, but at least you can listen to Al Michaels and have some money on the game.
It might give us a good take it to Twitter moment for next week, because there have been some great Twitter feeds where people just take clips from the Chris Collinsworth broadcast and are like, what in God's name is he talking about? Like, I don't even know. He goes so far off of the rails sometimes on these tangents that people are like, how are we ever going to bring it back to what the game is? So that'll be a good game too, to watch, to see
Absolutely.
what Chris Collinsworth-isms we get. And then that might be our ticket to Twitter for next week. All right, so we've talked about the Chris Collinsworth-isms, and we've started kind of our segment with Ian giving you some really cool markets that you can bet on at DraftKings. I will not be betting on them because, like I said, DraftKings is not available in Nevada. So for my prop lock and drop it this week. I am going to go ahead and take Kyler Murray plus 155 anytime touchdown score at FanDuel. I think during this game against the Rams, his legs are going to be a threat, and I have a feeling he's going to sneak it into the end zone at least one time. So that is my prop pick for the week. What do you have, Ian?
Well, I think yours is actually going to hit. So good on you. You're going to get your first hit. I don't know what is. I don't know what's going on, but we are going to the same game again.
Okay,
so
I promise we do
not talk about this. Like this is just getting weird. I told you I was going to go bold.
You did tell that is one thing Ian did tell me. He does not tell me who he's betting on, but he does tell me like, I think I'm gonna go simple this week, or I'm gonna go bold. And this week's a bold week, so I'm interested to see what he put together.
And it's for the same game. So as you picked, the Cardinals and the Rams. Now, to be clear, these are on DraftKings. I tried to do it. You can't parlay these together because they're under specials. So if you go up to DraftKings, if you're searching through it on your desktop or your mobile app, they're under QB props. So you can't parlay these together. But I'm going to go with both Kyler Murray and Matt Stafford to hit the over on their passing yardage. And Kyler Murray right now is over 275.5, Matt Stafford over 295.5. For Matt Stafford, in 2 of his 3 games, he's hit over that. He did it against the Buccaneers, and he did it against the Bears, and he almost did it against the Colts. Kyler Murray, in terms of his 275.5, has done that in all 3 of his games. He did it against the Titans, Vikings, and Jaguars. And I'm going to go one more. I'm going to go with Matt Stafford over 2.5 passing touchdowns. And this is great market. This is plus 130. You mentioned the plus 155 at FanDuel for Kyler Murray. Matt Stafford being plus 130 over 2.5 touchdowns is great value because he's thrown 4 touchdowns against the Bucs, 3 against the Bears, 2 against the Colts. So he almost did it against the Colts. Probably should have done it against the Colts. So I am going to go with both of them to hit their over on the passing and Matt Stafford to hit the over on his 2.5 touchdowns.
So how are we working this? Are we working this like you're doing a parlay, but you can't? So do we need all 3 of them to hit for you to win this week? Is that how we're going to do this?
Let's do it. Let's say that it's a parlay.
Even
though you can't build it as a parlay.
Okay, I like it. And you know what? I actually kind of agree with you on the Stafford for over 2.5, because I believe I was looking at the stats that in the last 3 games, the Rams have scored, I want to say it's over 20 points or over 19 points in the second half alone in their last 3 games. So I actually like that pick from you as well. Only compliment you'll ever get from me, but
well, I'll take it.
All right, guys, that about wraps it up for today's huddle. We will see you next Friday, and good luck and enjoy football this weekend, and good luck with all your picks.